Something that is arguably one of the most annoying and controversial elements of cruising are cruise ship complainers, nitpickers, negative Nancies, if you will. People that simply just can't enjoy their vacation experience. We have to talk about a woman that is claiming she is never ever going to cruise again. Why? Because she unfortunately had to endure some not so smooth sailing because there happened to be a pretty large hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. Maybe you heard of it, Milton. And because of that, she also unfortunately had some ports that were canceled that she was not able to visit. I do have a quick video clip that I want to show you of her talking about the matter, as well as go over some further details. Before we get into this conundrum, however, I do want to give all of you a quick life update. As many of you know, I do reside and live in the Tampa Bay area, and unfortunately we did have Milton come into town last night. It was my wife's first hurricane experience. She definitely earned her Florida badge last night. Now, many people are asking how come I didn't evacuate. Well, there were a couple reasons. One, even though I am not too far away from the ocean water and we're about 10 minutes away from Tampa International Airport that did shut down, we were in evacuation zone C. The mandatory evacuations were for zones A and B. Flight tickets were also ridiculously high, and when it came to just driving away, maybe up north or a little more inland, as you can imagine, everybody and their mom was trying to evacuate. So whether it be getting some gas, or in my case, I do drive a Tesla, getting a charge, doing all of that would have become a little bit more of a hassle than it was worth, never mind trying to get back along with everybody else that also evacuated. Also, I am thankful to say that for my personal experience, the hurricane was not too bad. There is literally no damage to my home at all. We did lose power at around 10 p.m. like most people. I believe at this point in time, about 75% of my city, as well as the rest of the county, Hillsborough County, is currently without power. I'm assuming it's going to be for the next 24 to 48 hours. Fingers crossed they fix it sooner rather than later. And I think yesterday there were about 19 tornadoes that were reported. And unfortunately, at this point in time, there has been at least 4 fatalities due to those tornadoes. So I do want to say that I am thankful that my wife and I, my property, as well as the rest of my family, my son and everybody included, are completely fine. They are unharmed, and we can now start the cleanup effort. Anyway, thank you to everyone that kept me and my family in your thoughts and prayers. It was greatly appreciated. I know some people think it was crazy that I stayed here, but do keep in mind, I've been in Florida since I was 6. I've been traveling all over on cruise ships as well. I have a little bit of experience with hurricanes, and I'll be honest and transparent with all of you. I do have some Florida man running through my veins. So yeah, even though I try to have some common sense, there is a little bit of crazy in there. Nevertheless, that's what we got. Let's go ahead and get to the topic at hand, starting with this video clip.
From Mississippi was on a cruise ship as Milton churned up the Gulf waters, and she says the experience makes her never want to get on another cruise ship again.
Shouldn't have gone out. They should have at least waited.
This was the scene Kim Eberhardt saw from the dining area during her Royal Caribbean cruise. They sailed out of Galveston Sunday, and by Tuesday, she says large waves and severe turbulence thrashed the ship as it tried to stay away from Hurricane Milton.
It was just rocky. It was rough, rocky.
A 3-port cruise turned into disappointment and chaos.
But you can see them swerving all around in the water, trying to and then you can see they turned around yesterday. He announced that they were going to turn around, go back to Galveston. Well, I must have missed the part that he was just killing time.
She says the ship headed back toward the Caribbean, but it canceled 2 ports, one in Honduras, the other in Costa Maya. And now the cruise line says it will compensate customers.
We'll provide you with a refund of 1 day of your cruise. Fare paid as an onboard credit. And then underneath that, it's got all these credits can be used on board, and any remaining refundable amounts at the end of our sailing will be reimbursed to your card.
Eberhardt says they are in calmer waters now, heading to Cozumel. But this is her last trip on the seas.
We have no desire. I just feel like at this point, I will fly somewhere.
And her ship, Harmony of the Seas, is expected back at port Saturday. and it is one of multiple ships having to detour because of the storm.
So first of all, just to somewhat set the foundation when it comes to my personal stance on people that complain about their cruise ship experience, I do believe it is 100% valid and justified to complain. Not in this particular case that we are talking about here, but let me explain. You have to imagine somebody is spending upwards of hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for their cruise vacation, and they could possibly only do it once or twice a year if they are lucky. People complain about the most minute things that don't even cost the price of a cruise. Their $50 Amazon package that came a day later than it was supposed to, or maybe even the amount of meat that they are receiving at Chipotle. My point is that if people are paying a dollar amount for something, in my opinion, they have every right to complain about it, with of course the confines that they have some cruise ship experience, and understand that there are things that may or may not go according to plan that the cruise lines don't have any control over, but if they do, they are also allowed to do as they see fit in order to ensure the overall satisfactory and safety of all guests on board. Now, when it comes to this passenger, Kim, that was sailing on Royal Caribbean's Harmony of the Seas, personally, I don't think that her complaints are valid or justified. Why, for starters, there is no way that she didn't have prior knowledge that there was a hurricane in the area. Not to mention, a week prior, presumably before her cruise, we had Helene ripping through the United States. So with the knowledge of those two hurricanes, not to mention the fact that she's also cruising during hurricane season, that's something that tends to be overlooked by a lot of passengers. Maybe it's because it is a good time for them to cruise, where they have vacation time available or the time that their entire family is available to cruise. Nevertheless, should you decide to cruise during hurricane season over to the Caribbean, you have to absolutely understand what comes with that in terms of risk. Also, do keep in mind that no cruise ship is intentionally trying to sail into a tropical storm, or in this particular case, a hurricane. This is not the movie The Perfect Storm. There is enough technology in today's time for cruise ships to see what's going on and avoid the storm at all costs. There is going to be a small chance that you're going to have a little bit of rough seas along the way, but this woman was sailing on Harmony of the Seas, which, don't quote me on this, is the 6th largest cruise ship in the world. It's one of the largest, and they do have technological advancements with things such as stabilizer, so unless she suffers from extreme seasickness, which could be very likely, it is going to be a little bumpy here and there. However, all things considered, she is going to get where she needs to go safe and sound. When it comes to the ports that were missed, I believe one of them was Costa Maya. Back when I worked on board cruise ships, we used to call Costa Maya, Mexico, Costa Maybe, because even on a nice day, if you guys have ever been to Costa Maya, you'll notice that over in port, the waters are a little rough. It is because of the location of the port over there. You factor in bad weather, and there is a good chance that port could potentially be canceled during your cruise. She's upset about this. However, it is important for all of you to know that whenever you do book your cruise, you do essentially sign a digital contract for the cruise lines that states that should there be a deviation or cancellation from a port of call or island, the cruise lines, first of all, they can do so, but they are not obligated to compensate you for it. However, Harmony of the Seas and Royal Caribbean, they did compensate the passengers on board, giving them some onboard credit, but for whatever reason, she still wasn't happy about that. Obviously, it is extremely disappointing for your vacation to not go exactly as planned, but this is the real world, and unfortunately, things do happen, especially when you decide to sail during hurricane season. Unfortunately, it's baked in the cake, it comes with the territory, and it is what it is. But that's what I have for today's video. Of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit that like button on your way out, subscribe if you haven't already, and as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.